Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, with the best defensive Protoss out there in the red, the Mawa, the wall. It's showtime. Facing off against one of the only Zergs who might be able to find a way around those defenses. In the blue, it's Lambo. In a best of 5 Protoss versus Zerg showdown. The immovable object against the most adaptable Zerg. I'm not sure who has the edge. Well, really, besides people who have already smashed that like button. And maybe even subscribe. Help me count the algorithm. Jimmy, what are we at? 1,661 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. As Showtime able to delay the second base and open up an opportunity for those adepts maybe to slip in between the defenses as the queens and langs, well, there's no way to outright counter without committing to a huge amount of early aggression. But instead, mitigating the damage is usually the best you can hope for. And so far, damage control going well enough, but Showtime decides to shade directly into the main. A full commitment, putting the fear in Zerg hearts, the heart of the swarm, if you would. And the adepts, well, 3 drones dead, commits both adepts. Overlord will spot a Phoenix, so was it worth it? 3 drones, a bit of mining time, which always sounds like a cop-out to actually mention, but in this case, drones playing ring around the hatchery for 30 seconds certainly doesn't help. And Showtime back at home, he slapped another 100 energy in that Oracle with energy recharge, and make sure that Zerglings have no chance of actually pressuring the third base. So he's able to limit the worker count. He forces out a bunch of Zerglings that can't really do anything. And he gets a full scout while getting his third base. Showtime, having a good time so far. Showing the most basic execution, but a solid strategy. I don't expect to see some revolutionary new Protoss style, some incredibly sharp and fermented cheese, but instead, well, there must always be at least one solid macro toss to balance out the Forrest Gumpy and drunken brawler styles of gestures to most of the most successful ones. But I digress. Hero. Oracle, second one. We could be doing a bit of a rug pull situation where the queen's potentially able to fly again. Showtime, one of the few players who actually still favors the Phoenix early. Adepts from the left, Oracles from the right. Brenda, you're flying again. Oh, shut up, Susan. Oracles, not able to get that much damage underneath, but again, I think part of this is just keeping Lambo honest. If he doesn't build the spores, if he doesn't have 2 queens committed there, there's a chance he loses a critical mass of drones outright. And the Phoenix, of course, its main purpose, deny those overlords. No matter how much the queens politely yet firmly disagree. In fact, a bit of a supply block there. Hard supply block for Lambo, which will slow him down a bit. As Showtime, comfortably getting his third base, blanking +1 behind. Filling in the most basic fixins. The ability to keep the pressure on because between Blink and Oracles, there's really no way to outright kill the Protoss unless you're willing to commit to some crazy all-in, which Showtime is doing a very good job of constantly scouting for. Keeping tabs with Revelation. He's got the Phoenixes to deny scouting. And, of course, he saw the 4th hatchery, which it doesn't make it impossible to do like a big queen drop all in, but it certainly doesn't help. Phoenix is looking for more opportunities, while the Oracles slide into the main. Will confirm the base, well, the lair is already completed. Pick off a few more drones, gets a revelation, and an infestation pit at a curiously quick timing. Lambo may be angling for a quick hive, and I'm not ruling out swarm hosts, as if anybody was going to make them work. But another Overlord picked off by the Phoenix. Another one potentially vulnerable to the north side. And Storm is already on the way. The Blink Stalker's moving out. Enough Zerglings to potentially catch them. Though with the Oracles overhead, again, it makes it a risky endeavor. Stasis behind. A few Queens. But not really enough to outright fight this for now. The Zerglings looking to wrap around. Lambo splits off a few lings to try to catch the blink. But Showtime moves by. Oracle lights up to further discourage some of the lings. And so far, no losses on the Stalkers. In fact, barely any hull damage taken either. But a dozen Hydralisks about to pop out. Lambo 78 drones to 70 probes. Showtime hasn't even attempted a 4th base yet. Instead choosing to lock down 3 and make sure he has all his tech online. We'll see if that's good or bad as time goes on, because that denies him the opportunity to fortify a 4th base, maybe before Lambo's able to put together an attack. But the Stalker's still clearing out the creep, and there's only one more piece of tech that Showtime is kind of lacking. That final kind of piece of the puzzle when it comes to the Golden Armada. But a depth shade through into the natural, actually commit. Possibly taking the pressure off. Oh, corrosive bow. 4 drones dead. +2 attack. Charge on the way. Storm completed. 4th base in production. And... I was assuming we'd see a fleet beacon. But instead it looks like Showtime committed to going for the ground army, which Lambo... Fleet beacon is on the way. Ye of little faith and inability to check how much gas that Showtime already had. He wanted to make sure he had enough High Templar to drive back a ground army. He's batting down the bases, adding more cannons at the 4th, and we're going into a full-on macro game. It's going to be up to Lambo to try to break through the defenses with lurkers, with lings, before the death ball comes together. There is no Spire on the way. I don't see any Vipers in production. Clearly, Lambo is going to leverage this massive economy. Currently, a full base mining more advantage, though not forever, as well as 12 more workers. And is this a contaminate timing? Leave it to Lambo. Contaminate, tactical goop, the ability for 125 energy. You can pause production on a structure for, I think it's like 21 seconds, something like that. Used to be 30 and then the conversion to real time. But could actually delay the Tempest at a very key timing. Setting himself up. We've arrived! The Queen's just walking across on the Overlord Creep Highway, but there's plenty of storms already to deal with it. A charge lock counter is shut down by Lambo's attempt to set up a secondary attack. And another set of Overseers coming in, but the storms are chewing through a lot of the Zerg so far. Transfuses help keeping some of the Lurkers intact. Zergling counter looking for something. There's still that Overseer that can delay the Tempest for a little while longer, but there is a timer on this attack. However long it is before multiple Tempests come out, though the army's starting to thin out already. The Ravagers and Lings saved from the storm by the stasis. A bit of a backfiring stasis ward there. And the Queen still happen to push this forward, but the first Tempest has arrived. A second Contaminate delaying the second Tempest, even through the Chrono Boost. The Queen's out in front of everything, maybe a little too far forward, as they're going to be cut down. The storms just washing across the front line. The Zerglings trying to slip through. The Templar mostly out of energy. Might be able to just merge into Archons at this point. And behind it, some of the Lurkers able to burrow down. 13 more Hydras on the way. Lambo. Well, Showtime's still at 200 supply, just waiting for a better opportunity to get the damage done here. So far, Lambo hasn't actually hit anything... Okay, hit anything important. I know that sounds maybe a bit inaccurate, but killing the Cyber Core, killing a few Gateway units, pales in comparison to actually hitting a base or cutting through the Tempest or the Templar. And so far, the only things that Showtime has lost. He's only lost 300 gas, 4 Stalkers, 4 Adepts. That's it. Such an efficient play. The Changeling's going to be taken out somehow. He figures out the traitors in his midst, probably because they weren't damaged at all. But Showtime holds. The wall holds. And oh, what? Killing off his own Stalkers to free up supply for a Mothership. And you know what? The only way Showtime... Wait, do they go in the unit? I guess it doesn't count if Lambo doesn't kill them, even though they still show up there. But obliterating his own units to free up that last bit of supply to literally min-max his composition. And at this stage, a few more Stalkers and Adepts are nothing compared to the might of the Mothership and more Tempest. So gonna continue forward because the best defense is still a good offense. He's a great defensive player, not a passive one. And there's a key difference. 450 APM for Showtime, which sounds good until you look over at Lambo at 850. All right, I think he uses a new keyboard every series, but both players clearly stretched to the limit, and the base trades will begin. Wades through the storm to the south, the Nexus under fire, but Lambo going to be losing the 12 o'clock. Though it's one of his extraneous bases, he can afford to lose it. Obviously, he wouldn't love to. The Lurkers are working their way through, but Showtime not looking to lose this base quite yet. Recalls back a chunk of the army. A bunch of Zerglings down the center. The Stragglers coming back to defend. He cleans up the attack over to the right flank. And the center base now under fire. The Nexus taking a lot of damage. Stasis stalls it out. And the Tempest come down the ramp, engage the Hydras. And I think Showtime will be able to hold on to both bases for now. But we're not done yet. Lurker's coming in over to the right side, but the Mothership has arrived just in time, and the cloak large enough to cover everything in her shadow. And the Hydras will try to fight directly, lunges underneath, but the Mothership with the quad beam lasers incinerating the Hydras and making sure that any attempt to get more damage done is a futile one indeed. Showtime. The wall holds. Changelings taken out. Lambo's lost almost double the resources, including 4 times as much Vespine gas. Showtime, the bulwark against the Zerg. And the Swarm may continue again and again trying to batter his defenses. But so far, he's lost not a single Nexus. He's only lost some of his extraneous defenses, and not very many of his important units. 2 High Templar and 1 Archon. It's all the really expensive units he's lost so far. But Lambo is taking most of the rest of the map. He's on 5, 6, 7, 8 bases. The Ocho right now for Lambo. Which, well, quantity has a quality all its own. And I believe he built a Spire a while ago. He has +1 flyer attack done. And now the Lurkers in a geometrical quandary, slicing their way up to the high ground, including a confluence of probes. Able to take down a dozen with a single slice. But at the same time, the Mothership has cloaking. Okay, nobody can see each other. The Lurkers are firing at the few units as the Mothership wanders out of cloaking range. A surprisingly convoluted fight. Eventually, almost everyone on the ground dies at the end, but the Tempests are maintained overhead. Another wave of storm. Some of the Overseers, Revelation, Nexus taking serious damage now, cutting through the shields, even if only 1 Lurker can make its way forward. The main portion of the Armada is closing in, and who's flanking who in this fight? The Nexus taking so much damage. Almost going down, but Showtime closing in from either side. The Storm softening up, including the Lurker eggs underneath. The Nexus in the red, not quite dead. Immortals caught out as the Hydras lunge forward. And so... the Nexus finally eviscerated by the Lurkers and will back off. Objective accomplished for now. As Lambo with 80 drones to 64 probes, and Showtime knocked right back to 4 bases. And the main base is mining out. The last mineral patch a few more trips away. The gas geysers at almost exactly the same time. And just like that, the main base is dried up. Lambo maintains a massive income advantage, but so far, Showtime has maintained a massive efficiency advantage. The wall has held. The Zerg have broken against it multiple times. They've shown a threat of breaking through at several points. Tried to undercut it with the contaminates and the backstabs, but so far Showtime has held strong. And those key bases, he's made them work for it at the very least. We're far from the bean counter phase where we start checking exactly how many bases are left unmined, but we're quickly hurtling our way there as the Hydras hurtle forward into the center base. But again, who's flanking who? The Templar are caught by the Zerglings. Active cloaking, but there's plenty of Overseers over top. Lurkers taken down on the right side, but moving forward on the left. Time Warp boards them away. Tempest still shelling throughout all of this. And Lambo getting sliced from the field. The overwhelming damage of Showtime's army. Another few good Lurker slices. Saves some of the Archons. Drops them on top. Eventually cut down by the Lurkers. And both sides suffering terrible, terrible damage. The Lurkers finally taken down, but 2 of them were left unchecked during the fight. And I think those 2 Lurkers are the only thing that kept Lambo from being completely cut out of the game there. Those Lurkers got another chunk of the Archons. They did a bunch of... Are there any Immortals? Well, their name's a lie, isn't it? 6 Immortals dead. Nidus in the main. Not gonna even attempt it. And Lambo still has his entire side of the map. But these fights, the damage is adding up. Over 9,000. What? 9,975 gas. 47 Hydras. 45 Lurkers. Wow. The Lurkers per minute, or the Lupums, is obscenely high, especially considering we didn't see them until the 8-minute mark. Over 5 Lurkers lost per minute, just about. And now the Corruptor count begins to grow, as Lambo finally decided... How many Tempests? Showtime, I know we're bringing up the units lost tab a lot, gets jammed in the center of everything, but it's worth taking stock of, as the wall holds and checks his inventory. He hasn't lost a singular Tempest this game. The Hydra's unable to get anywhere close, and otherwise there's been no anti-air to directly contest them. But Corruptors are quite a quandary of their own. If you build too many, and you wipe out the air, well, good luck getting the Broodlords before the Archons, Templar, and anything else on the ground wipes you out. But if you build too few, you might as well have not built them at all, as the entire point is air superiority. So maintaining the balance, somewhat puns intended, of the right amount of Corruptors to deal with the Tempest without overcommitting your supply is a careful one, and that's where many Zerg players end up teetering to the wrong side and falling. The Storm zoning out for now. The ground army dealing with the Lurkers. It looks like some of the probes pushed away from the base, but Showtime calmly, carefully, and methodically slicing his way through. The Corruptor count up to 15. He recalls away with the Mothership, leaving him still with a Mothership recall. Kind of surprising, but he draws most of the army away and then closes in on the northern base yet again. Lambo doesn't need that base, but he certainly would like it. And he's still going to have to deal with this +3, +1 on the ground army. It's... So, right now, Showtime has 28 supply of Tempest. That's about to change a bit, maybe. And 1 Mothership. So about, let's say, 40 supply committed to the air. Lambo has 16 Corruptors, 32 supply of Corruptors. So he's maintaining that balance, but is it enough to overwhelm them? Zerg at this stage often plays that sort of 300 supply remaxing style, but he just doesn't have the money in the bank to do so. Showtime, though, standing on his doorstep. Don't know if he even realized his army was still out there. He lost a few more probes, which means now 133 army supply. The chill ain't no kill like overkill. The Tempest obliterating the changelings. One thing we are missing. Infestors. Vipers. That's 2 things. The ability to count. That's 3. But Lambo, still with the conventional Zerg against the spellcaster-laden Hogwarts competition of an army. Man, Showtime with his rebel... Oh, the storms are apocalyptic. The Congress of Corruptors now in autumn colors. Not gonna make it any easier. The Tempest continue shelling. He does have tectonic destabilizers to do that extra damage to buildings. Almost double damage. Obliterates it. Lurkers on the right, gonna zone most of the rest out. There's enough Lurkers on the left to deal with the counterattack, but Showtime clearly moving forward. The Tempest working their way through, 1 by 1, popping the Lurkers. Now +2 air done. Lambo trying to close in. The Queen's coming up, but another wave of storms will push back the Corruptors yet again. And Showtime, surgical Protoss. Surgery with an orbital scalpel, but surgery nonetheless. Just slicing through huge portions of the Zerg. The storms. Corruptors trying to close in. There's more storms. Misses the mark. Wades through it again. Potentially a recall to get out of this when the Lurker's moving forward. The Overseer's not quite in place, but he's going to take down the Mothership. Lambo on top of everything, closing in. A recall before he gets 1 Tempest, some of the Archons. But another army to the north side. Showtime. He lost the Mothership. He lost some Tempests. But this is still a big chunk of army supply that Lambo has to deal with. The Lurkers moving forward. And Showtime has actually expanded to his entire side of the map. Lambo is supply blocked now from losing overlords. The overseer tax is real in these sort of games. And just GG. Showtime. Far too cost effective. And Lambo unable to break him. The wall holds. Yet again. The contaminate and inspired play. Something we don't see very often, because if it goes wrong, you've just spent up to 200 gas to mildly inconvenience the Protoss. It almost made the difference if he had been able to get the contaminate. Well, the attack just didn't come together in time. The idea was there, but the execution, not so much. We'll see if he has anything else up his sleeve. But Showtime looking unbreakable. He only lost his outlying Nexi, and he made Lambo work so hard for it, he never had the economy to do anything else. It looked almost inevitable. The big downside of Contaminate is the Overseer costs 50 gas, and it costs 125 energy, which means you need to build an Overseer, then you gotta wait around for a couple minutes, and this is why whenever Rogue does his Oversight Committee build, it's like, why don't you just contaminate the entire base? It's like, alright, so they are delayed by 1 Marine production time, and you've lost 500 gas of Overseers to do so. It is just not a very efficient. And the thing is, any Overseer spell, as we've seen, cannot be too strong, because it is the only spell caster in the game that you're not limited in its production, as Rogue very much knows once again. Every other spellcaster is limited by supply. Overseers are the supply. So you're limited just by the resources to build them and their energy, which, as much as I would love to see more Contaminate kind of mixed into the plays, I think very niche timing. We've seen Cyril use it to try to delay Storm in the past, but Protoss have countered that by realizing that you can just kind of get Storm so early. Sometimes Storm is already done by the time Lair Tech is even online. Like, by the time the Lairs, like, you could have an Overseer. And if anyone's going to come up with an early timing to... And that's the struggle right now for Zerg. Is there is no way to do early aggression in a way like, say, Protoss did. You don't have units you can send out and potentially get some damage done if they're not prepared. Because by being prepared means building an Oracle. And sometimes it means keeping it near your base, but doesn't need to be. So, make no mistake, that doesn't mean Zerg has no options. Alright, it just means those early game options especially, quite limited. Especially by energy recharge. Once Showtime defended and got his Tempest out, the Lurkers did not break through. Again, 30 seconds, okay? It might be a lot for you. At least according to my mother, but it's not. Lesser Protoss would have died. I bet that works on the ladder on frequent occasion for Lambo as well. But Showtime not skipping any beats. Overlord gliding towards the pervert pillar. It's too far from safety. And it's... Good. Well, even if it got there, it would have lasted another 2 seconds because the Oracle would have provided high ground vision. So, here we are. More Oracles sneaking out. No Phoenix this time. Might be map specific, might be something you just mix in for extra flavor. Not that Protoss would understand what that means, but... as they don't have mouths, of course. But I digress. Twilight and Forge on the way. No gases at the natural, though. indicating sauciness. Again, something that probably lacking in comparison. Charge or Adept Glaives? We must always have one Adept Glaives timing, okay? In every high-profile Protoss versus Zerg, just to make sure. No, it's charged, isn't it? Yes. All right. Well, well, well. Hopefully your credit limit is high because Showtime's about to charge a lot. Like and subscribe. And check out Patreon. I know. Trying to sell... That's it. These are very intentional stalkers. The Overlord, did he... That's not an Overlord. The Overlord was taken out. He's showing the stalkers. So what's the difference? Against stalkers, you try to min-max your economy. All right? You don't want to build roaches. They're kind of mediocre. You just want limbs. But against +1 charge lots, you need to take this seriously. Showtime has cut some of his economy and delayed the rest of his tech to hit this timing. He's hiding the charge lots. If Lambo does not have roaches, or at least an overwhelming number of Zerglings in production, he will die. This is an existential threat to Zerg. +2 charge lots kill Zerglings in 2 swipes. So they run up, and then they attack. So the 2 attacks are 1 attack. But Zerglings, against non-+1 charge lots, it takes a 3rd swipe. All right? Ba-ba, ba-ba, ba. That's the Zealot. That's the Brood War Zealot sound, as you know. But with +1, ba-ba, ba-ba. And now, go to my Dronely fans for more Zealot attack ASMR. Anyways, this is really, really bad for Lambo. The queens, everyone! Susan, Edna, Jennifer, Lucille. Right. Is Karen here? You know what? Don't talk to Karen. I don't. The wall is built to keep the Protoss out. The Zealotlings here gonna get on top of the stasis. Try to trigger the other. Some of the Zealots split off. The queens, the biomass holding the line for now. Not so great at the actual damage, but anything to get in the way, especially of the Hydralisks, which are already out. Showtime waited so long in order to hit this timing. Lambo might just very well survive it outright. Zerglings chasing down. And the Hydras being out with the wall of queens in position to deal with it, that makes all the difference. Zealots coming across the map, but Showtime delayed on his Templar archives, on his robotics facility. Lambo has a real chance to bounce back and take the lead both economically and get his tech to a point that Showtime's going to struggle to deal with. Because without Storm, things get a lot more complicated for the Protoss, especially against Hydras and Zerglings, which outright just have better damage output. Storm is on the way. I don't think Lambo going to commit everything to an all-in. Very well, there could have been Storm behind this. He doesn't know exactly, so he's hedging his bets. Lambo playing the longer game, getting the hive as soon as possible. Lurker den. This is the highest percentage play outside of potentially all-inning. And the only reason that an all-in maybe would have been a good idea is information that Lambo cannot have. All right? Neither of these players has map hacks. They can't see exactly what their opponent is doing. They can only take arguably educated guesses. So, from Lambo's position, Showtime, if he has Storm and Lambo commits to a Hydraling all-in, well, he's thrown away whatever advantage he gained in defending that attack so well. That's why we got the Lurker Den on the way, and he's kind of letting Showtime work his way up to Fleet Beacon. But this time around, Lambo is going to bring all his tech online in a quite a timely fashion. He's going to have even more economy. It's going to be a very similar situation in general, but the specifics matter. Hydra's up to the north side. The Oracles still looking around. Showtime's so good about keeping those Oracles alive. And keeping the tags, the revelations, on everything. That's going to be absolutely critical to deal with the very first Lurkers, though he does already. Yeah, Showtime spreading out his cannons to maintain the defense. and thin out individual units, but not putting them so close together they're vulnerable to lurkers or even banelings. Though Lambo has not invested in banelings at all, either this game or last, so. Ah, the Hydra's stuck in the corner, but oh, why am I? Stop yelling, calm down. I'm excited for Hydra drops, but, you know. Lurker drops. What is this, the Brood War?
Remember when we could fly? Brenda, no. Not now. They said Brood War. No, we said we wouldn't talk about the war.
Sorry. Oh, blacked out. Ooh, takes out a War Prism over to the right side. Hydra's closing in. And the Lurker drop is on the way. Lambo setting up, clearly anticipating an opportunity to move in with the main army. He's got the Lurkers down the center. A Nidus will complement the drop, the double tier attack. Lurkers dropped out. Gonna go for the third and the main base. Try to dislodge Showtime entirely. But Showtime is very aware of this. He knows there's a threat. Like,
we've arrived! Is this a good idea? Well, we're here now.
The queens are all in the main. Meanwhile, the main attack. The storm's coating everything. But the Lurkers moving forward. The Hydra's trying to pick off the Templar, but at what cost? Lambo getting lambasted right now by the storms, but he does manage to get enough Lurkers nearby, and the Nidus on top of everything. Is that an escape Nidus or a reinforcement? Kind of unclear at the moment. Another Nidus in the main. There's still a queen! Assassinated by the Zealots. More queens popping out. And, ooh, well, straight up not having a great time. Still one Lurker in the main, but the wall holds. Some enemies slipping behind, some breaking through, but it's reconstructed. The defenses are rebuilt. The army is reconsolidated. The cannons will help zone. And, oh, the main base, the Nidus. There is Blink for the Stalkers. He filled that in after the charge. He should be able to deal with this Nidus. And Lambo once again trying to pull him apart, but Showtime just putting himself back together so quickly. Lambo, a lesser Protoss. He's throwing so much at him right now. It's not like Lambo's being ridiculous. He's not just randomly throwing attacks there. Calculated timings, trying to bring just enough to overwhelm the ideally minimalist defenses that Showtime has. But it's not enough.
Then get back in there, Susan. Never mind, we're fine.
Oh, that one's not good though. That storm is cataclysmic. Category 5 down the center line. And Lambo. Creep Tumor's a bit optimistic as well. But the wall holds. The cannons rebuilt. Moves over to the right side. Zealots to the right. More Zealots to the left. The Tempest obliterate the Nidus. Defensive Nidus coming through, but again the charged lots move across the map, and this time around I think they're going to find even more success. Showtime now has the supply lead. Zerglings coming down, but the Zealots just slicing through them. Not even close to taking them out. The Lurkers are required here. 13 drones dead, but the Lurker's still not close enough to deal with it. Might even lose the hatchery. The Lurkers finally burrow down. They don't have adaptive talents. They can't burrow quickly. Lambo cutting a lot of corners, where Showtime a lot more well-rounded. Or having lots of corners himself. Whichever one's better. Anyways, maybe take down the rocks, deny half the mineral patches. The base itself would deny all the mineral patches, though. So. Tectonic destabilizers on the way. Took actually blasting a base to realize, but some of the Lurkers trying to sneak in from the left side. Might be able to slice through some of the Templar. Evades it for now, but the Corruptor count is damn high. Storms. Time Warp. Doesn't actually take out the hatchery, nor does he drop the rocks on the minerals. So, Lambo holds for now. But Showtime still maintaining a strong supply. Corruptors. Sneaking through. Might be able to pick off the Mothership. More storms. And eventually the Mothership will get taken down, but at a heavy cost to the Zerg army. Energy recharge. The Lurkers trying to close in, but Showtime. The wall holds. The Tempest just picking off Lurker after Lurker. The storms forcing a heavy cost to any sort of attack. And this technical Protoss really just dismantling Lambo's attacks. The supplies are still even, but the army value is actually about the same. Knocks out the minerals with the rock tower, and it makes it that much more difficult to defend this base. Tectonic destabilizers isn't done, but he doesn't quite need it. An attack over to the right side, but Showtime actually jumps it before it can get anywhere close. Energy recharge, still 15 seconds out, but the Lurker softened up. The attack over to the left side. Does he have any observers? One observer with it. Can maybe work through some of the Lurkers. Tectonic destabilizers gonna make it easier to take out the hatchery. And, well, Showtime should still have recall available. Another ship is being rebuilt. So a second potential recall as well. Takes out the Nexus towards the north side of the map. The Corruptors on top of the Tempest recall. Some of the Templar will be left behind. They'll expect some of us in the wreckage, brothers. And the Archons and Templar in the first semi-decent fight for Lambo. He takes out 2,000 gas compared to 1K. But Showtime immediately rebuilding those power units. Nothing at the third base. The Lurkers will be able to burrow down, but Lambo still hasn't realized he doesn't have the adaptive talents, making things much more complicated. Another ship targeted. And that's two. Taken down by Lambo's Corruptors, which are finding much more success this game. The ground army trying to move in. That's a lot of Immortals. He comes in from the north side, drawing some of the Lurker fire away, while the Immortals absolutely explodorate the Lurkers. Wow! Without the detection, it gets a little harder. Quite obviously. The Corruptors finish off the Nexus with caustic spray, but the Lurkers are absolutely no match against the Immortal count here. And this is the danger. Now there's a dozen Corruptors against... And Showtime just stopped building Tempests. He has 3 of them, and it seems like he has no intent on rebuilding. There's some cannons just to try to make a caustic spray, and that he has perimeter defense cannons. The PDC's doing a great job so far. 1 to stop the Nidus, and 2 to discourage the Corruptors. So many Protoss kind of missed that bit, but the wall is an expert in perimeter defense. The cannons scattered throughout. It feels like he's not playing at the 420 APM he is. But he is blazing through the map. And he's keeping up with Lambo. And I stress how hard it is to actually keep up with these attacks. Showtime isn't making it look easy, but he's certainly making it look almost... he's making that Zerg composition look obsolete. Lambo had the initiative for quite a while. He's trying to take it back with these Lurkers. But he's racing against the clock right now. If he doesn't slow Showtime down soon, if he doesn't find a way to either remove the economy or pick a fight against the army, which even more difficult. Well, another 2 Nexi for the price of 1. He actually takes down the rocks. Wait. Did he just drop rocks on his... Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no! He just killed 5 Lurkers by accidentally taking down the rocks. Ah! Oh my god! Oh no! Wow! Even the map working against Lambo. Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal, rocks. What a disaster! And I think that, and that alone, may allow Showtime to save this Nexus. It will die. But losing 5 Lurkers to rock towers is... certainly not the ideal. The Archon count is incredibly high. He's got 9 Archons, 9 Immortals, plenty of charge slots. The CIA build, charge slot, Immortal Archon, very much online now. And Showtime continues just bashing through. The losses continue to mount. A devastating game for both sides. Lambo more so. The thing is, the army is still intact for Showtime. He's barely lost any of the Immortals or Archons. He's lost the Tempest, he lost the Mothership, but he finally finds a direct confrontation. And the Zerg army it's gone. GG. Showtime walks through Lambo to claim 2 in a row. Another devastating game. Now, did losing 5 lurkers to a rock tower change the game? Yes. Did it change the outcome, I think? No. I doubt 5 lurkers would have made a titanic difference there, but it certainly didn't help. All right. But Dustin Browder might be proud. Game number 3. On tour. Jimmy, game number 3. Lambo going through the rocks early on. Gonna take his 3rd base on the outside, just anticipating. Maybe take one of the gold bases as well. The probe in position. Lambo gonna try to sell the other 3rd. Sending it out. But taking the gold minerals and... Well, that is certainly one of the places you can expand. So, he sent out the drone to... And for all intents and purposes right now, Showtime, he saw the drone move by towards the 3rd base. He did not see the mineral wall being taken down. And now he's chilling in the main doing the mineral flirtation that so many probes feel obligated to do, but he has absolutely no vision of all of this. And what he doesn't know will very much hurt him. That drone being sent across, it only takes a couple trips to mine through this. Having that drone on the map, working into the build, because of course it does. Showtime, this just looks like a normal build. Lambo has bamboozled him entirely. This is almost like he may just lose. Oh, he's never seen this before. Lambo has not broken this out at any point. The fact that Showtime didn't even check means that this is an original right here. This particular version. Or at least Showtime hasn't faced it enough on this map. And it is map dependent. There are a few maps where you can get a back door into the Protoss base by just chewing through a few minerals. But, okay. The door's open. There's absolutely nothing here to defend. A Stargate rush. The probe. Surprise. Sound the alarms. A baneling nest is on the way in the Zergling. Well, Showtime knows exactly what this is now. He figured it out, I guarantee you, the moment he saw the Zerglings. But by then, it's far too late. And we're walking! Well, I remember what I said about early Zerg aggression and how unless you're going to commit to an all-out, all-in, well, I've arrived! The Queen is here as well. Just in case Showtime thought about getting an Oracle for free. Does he have the resources? He has to cancel a shield battery to get the minerals. Lambo's working. He's got banelings on the way. I don't think they've been spotted yet. Chrono Boost. Even then, an Oracle a long way off. The Queen zoning out the Adepts. He's trying to see. He does have a shield battery. He may be able to save this. But the banelings are done. And rolling, well, waddling in. Getting terrible, terrible damage. And with it, that's it. Lambo's on the board. Well, it wasn't pretty, but it was quick. Lambo sneaks away one with the proxy hatch, mineral wall, backstab, the backdoor Zerglings sneak in. And Showtime will not be sneaking out of this match with a clean sweep at the very least. Well, well, well. I honestly am a little surprised that Showtime, being the particular technical player he is, did not at least check for that opportunity. But maybe a bit of hubris and maybe just, well, Lambo, that one drone being sent out, I think sold him. Like that, the drone was sent out at the exact right time to go for the third. And Lambo, I think Showtime, just that one drone, sold him on the whole thing. I love how the drone had a purpose too. Eventually came all the way around and was the one to mine through the mineral wall. That one drone, the architect of Showtime's demise. And Jimmy won. Yeah, Lambo, 1 game to 2. Not exactly the most reliable strategy, one that he could use potentially to lean on through the rest of the series. That's a one and done. But better to have one than be done, as I always say. Put that on a motivational poster for your home office or something. With this face. You're welcome. Like and subscribe. Well, we're on Persephone, which is another one of our more curious maps. Between the close air distance and the healing shrine, the gold base, but definitely not as spicy. No mineral walls to the back door. Nobody likes that pylon indicator, apparently. Everybody has their own way of walling off, as Protoss, of course. I don't think Showtime going to be taking Lambo for granted. He's been playing that super solid middle of the road, and Lambo has been kind of obliging him in the first 2 games, playing also the late game tech. But that's right into Showtime's hand. He's just too good at the defense. And Zerg simply can't play that style, not nearly as reliably. They got to be aggressive. They got to whittle down the economy and try to keep the armada from coming together. And Lambo, close, but not close enough. Of course, killing all the probes with banelings at the 3-minute mark is one way to do that. So that was successful, but here we are. Adept trading places with the probe, who confirmed everything this time around. Checking for the third with the Adept. Second one on the way. Let's see. Let's see a Void Ray build. All right. At least an opener. There's no way anyone... There is no Void... Like, make mass Void Ray build. But there are Void Ray openers. Where you just burn through the Overlords. Have that defensive tool. Oracle's usually just better in almost every way besides killing Overlords, and even then you can combine them with a Stalker most of the time and knock out many of the Ovies. Will he commit? Yeah, just commits to the Shade. Gonna pick up 2 drones, make that 3. And getting some of the Zerglings, gets caught. Actually survives to kill several. Shouldn't be getting out. One last nibble. Takes him down by the ankles. But 3 drones and a couple Zerglings. Not great, not terrible. Just the full commit to the damage there. And the Spore Crawler is not done, but it will be finishing. Gets a single hit as he goes by the tallest waterfall in the world. Not crazy. You don't know what planet this is on. Right. Don't fact check me. As the natives celebrating. Clearly not a reference to anything, just completely original. Oracle going along the beautiful river here on Persephone. Another Oracle. He actually pushed the drones out of the way, making them more vulnerable to the second Oracle. Damned if you do, and even worse if you don't. But wait, there's more Oracles. Well, all this fanciness doesn't end up adding up to much. Lambo suffering minimal losses. Going to maintain a slight drone lead. He actually went for the Phoenix, trying to find those overlords. We'll get one. I think there's another one on the way. Shady Bunch headed out. And Zergling almost gets a problem. It's going to be roaches this time around. We've seen a rush to Hydras many of the games so far, which helps you defend the mid-game, but also sets you up. They're so expensive, it makes it a lot harder to do any sort of non-committed aggression. You can get 20 Hydras, but by the time you do, Storm is likely to be done. Roaches, on the other hand, are more, well, cheaper, less effective overall, but you can pump out way more of them. I think appropriately so. The Overlord did get in. It spotted the Twilight and the Forge. The Phoenix will...
Get off my... This is restricted lair space.
All right.
Brenda, you don't have to tell them. I like telling them. Oh, okay then.
Sorry. I blacked out for a creep tumor place. Apparently a split second before the creep ran out, but there's plenty of Zerglings. Cancels the Adept Shades immediately. Templar Archives already on the way. And it's gonna be Storm. Infestation Pit in production, but enough roaches to help zone things out. Zerglings chase back across the map. Queens ambling up, stoically marching up towards that top right corner. Lambo with 69 drones, a nice baseline economy, but not enough to really tech dramatically into the late game. But instead, that Infestation Pit, a curious one, considering there's no Hydra Den. If there was ever a map for Swarm Host. Well, the roaches, the lings. Lambo has a lot of money in the bank, and that Infestation Pit is done. So we'll see momentarily what angle he wants to go. The speed zone, but the Zergling's at the back. Great flank from Lambo. Going to force the Stalkers away at the very least. Another dozen drones in production. What's it gonna be? He is getting so much economy. Overlord speed. That Infestation Pit is done, but Lambo seems intent. Oh, the drones picked off by the Oracles transferring, but Lambo's gonna have plenty of economy now. That Infestation Pit just glaring out there. I do appreciate Lambo actually activating the creep drop on the Overlords. It's a small thing, but it could always be the difference. That's a lot. That is a... Why are you moving all those Overlords? There's a lot of Overlords. It's most of his Overlord. Oracle looking around. Zerglings. Sneaking into the third. Maybe some hold position, indeed. Not enough. The shield battery helping to defend. It's a creep highway build. The mass Overlord creep drop. Well, the details do matter, as the Queens will be getting the Royal Road across the map. And everything else as well. 4, 5, 6 Queens coming across. Trying to hit Storm is done. But the Ravagers don't seem to care. Storm's on top of the Zerglings, but wait, there's more. Another big Storm, but the Templar are taken down. That was it. That was all the Templar. He has energy recharge available for just one of them, but he actually recharges a shield battery, which I have to think is a mistake. And without any Storms against this amount of Zerg, he doesn't have a fourth base. That single Templar, a glaring issue. A fleet beacon is on the way, but Lambo breaking everything down so far. The Roaches and Ravagers, that Templar almost enough for Storm, but I don't know if one can turn the tide. And he may end up, oh, he saves it with the Prism. The Blink Stalkers are forced backwards. The fourth base is 4/5. The Queens are going to keep the Oracles at bay. The Ravager count is so damn high, and I think Lambo may have broken through. Working on the Cyber Core. Corrosive Biles rain down, takes out the core itself, and Immortal's going to pop out. How long on energy recharge? Another 15 seconds on another one. Depowers. Oracle's working through. Throws up the Corrosive Biles. Actually almost takes out an Immortal. Zerg are thinning out, but the creep is moving forward. The creep on the doorstep of absolutely everything, and the Queens will take down the gateway themselves. The Ravagers raining down. Energy recharge used, but not finding enough damage. The Queens are marching in. Gets another storm. Is there charge? Indeed there is, but some of the Zealots held in reserve. Lambo still breaking through. That fourth base was not actually killed. If somehow Showtime is able to hold, he still has the probe count in the economy. But the critical mass of Zerg is starting to break through the mineral line, scattering Corrosive Biles throughout it. The Oracle's overhead, but the Queens will take them down. Get off my creep! Technically accurate, Brenda. The Oracle's taken down by the Queens. The Roaches and Ravagers. Storm not enough. 19 probes dead. The slow-moving yet inexorable attack will finally overwhelm Showtime's last units. The supply down by 100. And I think we're going to the ace match. Lambo breaks through before Showtime can build up that 4 bases and the critical mass. The Queens leading and supporting the charge before the charge lots can really come online. And Lambo ties things up just like that. 2-2. He even had Hydras and a Lurker den behind, ready to go, but Showtime unable to withstand the Zerg. The wall did not hold. And now, game number 5. Incorporeal. Lambo with 2 inspired games after Showtime locking down 2 solid late game opportunities. So far, the difference is quite dramatic. Doesn't take a poet to describe the importance of survival. How Dimawa needs to defend for long enough to build everything and come together in a death ball that can kind of roll across the map. The clear timer on the game, somewhere in the midst of lair tech or before. But Lambo did survive even after Storm, but he knocked out the Templar so quick it didn't become a permanent fixture in the game. We'll see if he has another card to play, another trick up his sleeve, another build to bamboozle Showtime. Honestly, Showtime, I think, not respecting the queen push there. Continued building up and building his infra. He built a fleet beacon, let it finish. I don't know if it was just the stress, but maybe a time to cancel the fleet beacon in second Stargate as he realized the Zerg are essentially trundling with most of their infrastructure across the map. The Queens hold it all together. If most of the Queens are being sent across the map, that hamstrings everything else back at home. That was just a wave of Zerg in the most literal sense. Just slowly but surely, a tsunami wading its way, and Showtime eventually drowned. Stargate is the choice. Adept at it across the map. I'm going to forgive Showtime's pylon wall because he always reinforces it with a gateway as time goes on. He's getting the best of both worlds. He's walling off against early aggression as quickly as possible. Remember, on torches, the wall did not break. Just geography worked against him. So, but he gets the quick wall with pylon, cybercore, gate, and then he reinforces later. So he has an even harder to break wall off with a very tight choke point. What's it gonna be? Oracle first. Lambo, no signs of anything untoward. No roach warren. No quick lair. Just playing it close to the chest for now. There were no indications. Honestly, the fact that he made an infestation pit and then went for the roachling all-in means to me that, oh, Showtime shades by yet again. Consistent. Honestly, you don't really want to be predictable with this, and the adepts get shut down. I think the most concise cleanup so far. But the fact he built an infestation pit, got that fourth base all droned up, then did a roachling all-in says to me that it was a attack of opportunity. Like, that wasn't necessarily the plan from the start for Lambo, but instead something he realized had an opportunity to work out. Oracle, burninating through the countryside. Countryside suspiciously full of Zerglings. A little less so now. Second Oracle. Twilight and Forge. And the 2 gases at the net. Blink +1 will be the choice. And Lambo, still just droning up. Twilight and Forge. The staple. For better or worse, the build for Protoss versus Zerg pretty well explored at this stage. It's the what you choose to do with those units. Now, making the same units at a similar time, be a little hypocritical to complain, as Brood War has had the same units at the same time for, well, the overwhelming majority of over 2 decades. I don't know. I think the last balance patch for Brood War was before Clem was born, so... but the details matter. And I think unlike Brood War, the maps in StarCraft 2 a bit more homogeneous for many reasons. And that is part of why it can feel very similar. But, yeah, there are differences, believe it or not. But also similarities. Not just the name. So. Shady Bunch, working their way. I thought that was going to be profound. It didn't end up being so much so, but just pretend it was and smash that like button and subscribe. Roach Warren. Roach Speed on the way. +1 ranged attack as well. 4th base for Lambo. He's leaning into the Roach's head again. We'll see if Showtime has a better response. A gateway explosion in the main. Templar Archives now on the way as well. I love how Showtime doesn't have... He has most of his important tech in possibly the most defensible position in his entire base. Like, there is... If the Twilight Forge and Templar Archives go down, other things have gone horribly wrong. Alright. A Spire begins for Lambo. Potentially for Mutas, but it gets scouted immediately. So... Will Showtime... Now, I'm sure Showtime will be continually sending the oracles forward, looking for revelation. He could always build Phoenixes, but honestly, Blinkstalkers and Storm are usually enough to ward away all but a determined flock of Mutas. Overseer coming in. The Blinkstalkers gonna start chewing away at the Roaches. And with the stasis behind, he locks out a few. Oh, the Queens! Somehow even slower than usual. Blinkstalkers and a few Adepts out in front. But so far, this stasis-supported timing really starting to chew through the Zerg. A very efficient trade thus far. He's lost only Adepts, which are effectively expendable at this stage. He's actually just kind of trying to get rid of them. But an Oracle? Oh my. Gust of wind would blow that away, but it gets away. Literally 5 Adepts and 1 Stalker. For several Roaches, Lings forces out a lot more units. Very notably here, Showtime not building any more probes, making sure he has as many units as possible. This is the change. He's not just building up to like 80 probes. He's making sure he has the units on the field. He's got the Templar warped in. He's going to have Storm done. It looks like Lambo going to try a very similar strategy. He's got Overlord speed in production. He canceled the Spire sometime before it finished. That changeling kind of conspicuous here. But Showtime's still at 66 probes. Full 3-base saturation, but he hasn't added any more. The queens are coming across the map. This push is coming together. But Showtime should be prepared by the time the Zerg arrive. 200 supply. The attack. Now, that's still a lot of roaches and ravagers. That ramp is a devastating choke point. A lot of the ravagers softened up to start. Showtime very clearly not... Oh my, the storms are category 10. Oh, wow. Absolutely cataclysmic storms. And Lambo might have the supply, but it is just devastated. The damage. Terrible, terrible damage. Showtime storms literally couldn't get any better. Maximum radius, maximum damage. He's holding Lambo at the gates. The wall holds. The Ravager's still trying. Another absolutely immaculate storm. And he can go into Archons potentially behind. The reinforcement streaming through. Lambo still at 200 supplies. The siege continues. Showtime. A key part is Lambo having the economy to perpetuate this. Even though Showtime is holding so strongly, he doesn't have Tempest building up. He doesn't have that many Templar. There's not a lot of long-term progress being made. So, if Lambo is able to break through, if he's able to weather the storms just once, he might be able to overrun the rest. And that is what he's counting on at this stage. But another set of storms just raining down. A deluge of damage continues to wash across the Zerg. And Lambo's attack is starting to show signs of weakness. He's unable to maintain 200 supply. Showtime. The main bases are drying up for both sides, but we're not quite there yet. The creep drops. The queens, another wave of queens is being sent in. Immortals have been added into the composition. And that is the biggest addition for quite a while yet. The Ravagers caught on the ramp. The queens just too thick. And tripping up some of the Ravagers. Lungsford kills a ambitious Overlord. Showtime still hasn't built a probe in like 4 minutes. He's holding. The Ravagers, this ramp, creep tumors in the midst of everything. The corrosive bows thrown out. 17 Ravagers. That stasis catches a chunk, but not enough to stop Lambo from moving forward. The Immortals almost caught the Queens as well. The Immortals helping to blast through, though. The Queen's committing to this fight. The Storms on the backline gets an Archon merge on the front. And so, no, the move command! Oh, Showtime tried to take advantage of the situation. He tried to target fire, and actually, it ended up being more than enough, now that I look at it. But a bit of a move command, giving Lambo maybe a bit more than he bargained for, but the charge lots, and finally the critical mass alongside +2 weapons. And Lambo has been driven back. The swarm, the wall, holds. Showtime finally finding space for probes again. He has shored up his defenses. The gaps have been closed. Lambo almost breaks through. He tries to batter his way with the vials. But the storms kept him at bay. And now it's Showtime's advantage. I'm not going to say it's his game to lose, as Lambo has had over 80 drones throughout all this. That means he can rebuild. But he lost so many Overlords as the creep highway itself was taken down. The Overlord tax must be paid. Lambo has lost double the supply, or double the resources, maybe double the supply, and double the Vespine gas alongside it. Ravagers and Lynx are trying to keep the army back. Well, Lambo clearly angling towards high-tech Lurkers. But Showtime's nearly maxed out, and there's not much keeping him back at home. A fleet beacon begins as that main base. But it's going to be a very difficult push for Lambo to hold. The hive should begin. The Lurker Den goes... Looks like he's going to go straight for Broodlords. An ambitious choice, but it may very well be required. As well as Corruptors to deal with Tempest, but Showtime has the army. He's now got the Immortals, Archons, and the Templar added in. But the Templar, a bit lackadaisical here. Apparently he doesn't need them, as the Immortals and Archons with charge lots in front bashing through. Lambo driven back. Has to build roaches and hydras. Storms. Going to make things even more difficult. Triggers one of the barriers. Does he have hydra speed? No. It's almost done. That rock tower. Quite conspicuous here. But the storm zoning it out. Who's got the concave? As the Zerg army being chased. The queens again. And Showtime. The wall. Demower. Holds. Showtime again. Holds against the onslaught. Lambo with a barrage of attacks. But Showtime's defense holds for long enough to take the series 3-2. What a masterclass. Lambo has had a lot of success even against Protoss lately, but Showtime clearly his match here. And he wins at 3-2. Thank you again to Homestory Comp for putting on such great matches. Make sure to check out Tick TV when you get the opportunity. And I hope I made your day just a little bit better. Thank you for watching. If you got the means and motivation to be awesome, check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free. At least for now. Thank you to our mule patrons for bringing in the extra minerals. Big Jiggy, Devin Door, Kate, Mario, Random Guy, and Suit, and everyone. Glad you still enjoyed. Congratulations to Showtime. What a series. And thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Good luck. Have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.